just a pleasure to be with you today. Homesick Lone Wolf Podcast, Episode 8, coming at you right here, right now. I hope you're feeling amazing today. I hope you're doing fantastic today. I hope you're doing great today. It's a beautiful day on planet Earth. We're making it happen out here in America. Dealing with some lockdown, some coronavirus things happening right now. If you skipped the last podcast, it's all good. We're back on track now. The last podcast was just kind of a little talk, just kind of shooting the shit, kicking the crap with people. And this one here, we're back at it. We're back on track. In the last episode, I had just gotten 86'd from the city of Baltimore, out in Baltimore, Maryland. Tried to relocate out to Baltimore, and I just was thinking my ex-girlfriend would take me back and we could fix things and everything would be amazing and wonderful. But hey, sometimes things don't work out like we want them to. Sometimes things just don't go as planned. And that's okay, because we're out here learning. We're trying to take it as a lesson. And that's how I learned not to chase any girls. That's how I learned not to chase somebody. I learned that you need to just count your blessings. You need to be happy it happened, be glad it happened, be grateful it happened, try to mature, try to grow, and be a better person for the next relationship that comes along, and be more prepared for the next relationship. It's all you can do. You can't beat yourself up over it. You got to be grateful it even happened at all. So we're on an airplane. We're headed back to Colorado. What's up? We're at the airport in Baltimore. My family's crying, and they're just like, we're worried about you. Just be careful in Denver. Just be careful in Denver. We're just worried about you. You're on a weird path. You're all over the place, man. You're drinking a lot, and you're causing all kinds of trouble and chaos everywhere you go. They were just getting worried about me. So I got on the plane in Baltimore and said my goodbyes to the family. Couple hours later, I'm in Denver getting picked up by my brother Tom. Tom lives in Denver at this point, and Dickie, my friend Richard. So I'm going to go to Denver, and I'm going to get back to a little something more familiar. I'm going to get back to something I know. Going back to Colorado, first things first, we get in the car, we start blazing, we're smoking some weed with brother Tom, we're just kind of vibing, we're figuring it out, we're back in Denver, totally new pace, totally new energy. But there I was still. It was still me. I hadn't changed anything. I chased a girl. I ran my family away from me. I made my family just so afraid of me and disgusted with me and worried about me. The girl says no. The family says you're crazy. I need to figure a lot out. But all I did was go to Denver to be with my friends, and it seems like I just partied a little bit more. Didn't really know how important it was to have goals. Didn't know how important it was to have something to aim at. So I'm just wandering. No plans, no goals, no objectives. Kind of wandering. Especially after throwing all my hopes into this girl taking me back. So I left Baltimore, got back to Colorado. Was still acting the same though. I was still behaving the same. In a weird way, I hadn't learned anything yet. I was still the same person, still acting like a total fool, careless, destructive. But when I get back to Denver, we go to Dickie's girlfriend's house. Awesome apartment, expensive apartment. We're drinking, we're having a good time. I'm like, wow, this is great. This is a good time. Stay the night at his girlfriend's house, get trashed, get up the next day, go to his place on Ogden Street there in Denver. It's in the Capitol Hill area of Denver. And he has one roommate, Matthew. So it's Matthew and Dickie. That's who I'm moving in with. Good times. I get to the place, and they have a dog. They have a dog that's just leaving hair everywhere. This dog puts hair everywhere. All my clothes that are black, all my clothes, period, just covered in dog hair within the first day. I just have itchy eyes. I'm like having some sinus issues because of the dog and how dusty it is in their house. It's just dusty and uncared for, not very tidied up at all. So I get there. They're like, yeah, you could totally stay in this room here. There's a spare bedroom here for you. And it totally smells like shit and piss. And they tell me, oh yeah, well sometimes Slug comes in here. The dog's name is Slug. And sometimes he goes into that room and he just claws on stuff and goes to the bathroom in there. Damn, do you walk him ever? Yeah, sometimes I walk him. Sometimes I don't have time though. So that's great. First things first, I gotta clean this room, get a lot of the dog shit out of it, try to get the piss smell out of there. Terrible. We go cruise downtown. We're walking around Denver, unpack at his place, go for a little walk downtown Denver. Just awesome, man. I love that city so much. But I didn't have a plan, and I was very intimidated by the city. There's a lot of great restaurants to work at. There were a lot of awesome things to do and see and be a part of. But I was mentally not well, and I didn't know how to focus. I didn't know how to plan. I didn't know how to go out and execute or rub elbows with chefs or talk to people at restaurants like I do now. But this is kind of the beginning of all of that, when I really started to learn how to go out and apply and talk to people about getting involved and coming on board and helping them. But I had no experience with that at this point. I didn't have any experience going out and getting a job. I didn't have a resume built. So I didn't know where to start. I did not know where to start at all. And I had just come from my Uncle Don's out in Baltimore, where it's just night and day comparison, Baltimore and Colorado. But also the living conditions I was in. I'm at this house now with just trash everywhere, dog hair all over the place. It smells like dog piss and beer. I was just at my uncle's where it was just pristine. It was so immaculate compared to where I was. And there was just always food there. There's always food available. It's always clean. It's always organized. Things worked. Things didn't work at this place I just moved into. Everything was kind of broken and stained and cracked. And it really got me thinking about the whole technology and addiction thing. With addiction, for sure, you're just focused on something else. You're hyper-focused. You have tunnel vision just on feeling euphoric and relieving all the stress, relieving all the anxiety. And just feeling contentment and euphoria and peace and calm. With that, you don't really pay attention to much other things. You don't really pay attention to the news. You don't really focus on saving money or having ambitions or goals or things like that. You just kind of take it a day at a time is what it seems. And you don't really have any kind of thought for the future. You're not really looking into the future. It's mostly the immediate. And with that, you kind of fall behind. If you're in that world of addiction, it's like you're in a haze. You're in this darkness. So you're not really paying attention to a lot of things that are happening in the mainstream world or in the world, period. You're not really up to date on science and technology news. You're not really up to date on much that's happening. You barely get by as it is. When you do have money, you spend it on alcohol and going out with the friends and buying drugs and all that crap. You start to see people with cool phones. You start to see people with cool iPads and iPods, and you're just like, dang, that stuff's cool, man. Like, these are cool-ass toys. These are cool toys for adults. And growing up, I always loved music, and I needed music around all the time. It was always about the Discman or the Walkman and the MP3 player. And when the iPods came out, it was just so awesome to me to have all of that music on this little device. It was so amazing to me. Doing this whole addiction, being in the addiction world and being lost in the darkness and the haze that is addiction. A lot of self-serving, self-absorbed, me, what am I going to do? I see all these people with all these awesome phones and doing all these cool things on their apps. And I'm just like, wow, I don't know about any of this shit. So it had me thinking, and I was just like, wow, if you're just so consumed in your own crap and you're just chasing cheap, immediate, short-lasting pleasures, you're just out there trying to find immediate gratification, temporary pleasures. And in doing so, the world is moving without you. The world is moving, and you're just standing still in this one spot. So you're not keeping up to date on things. You're not educating yourself. You're not really being aware. You're not intaking current events and knowledge, and you're not really evolving. It's kind of like addiction puts you in this place where you don't grow and evolve at all. But it also ages you. It ages you really fast. But you're not going anywhere. You're just kind of like a clock on the wall. You're just moving all the time, but you're not going anywhere, cousin. It was weird shit. It was weird to have a Discman when all these people were getting these phones that were doing all this awesome shit. And I'm sitting there, like playing with my Discman, and it had me thinking about all this and like, wow, without money, you're not really involved, and you're not staying up to date on technology, and you're not really moving with the world. You're kind of like left behind. So that was a big thing to me, learning that, just seeing all these people and that was a big thing. I was like, dude, how do these people all have this And I don't, because I'm a musician and I love music, and music is my medicine. I need it all the time. So it was weird to me that there was something so amazing out there and convenient out there for music lovers. And I was so lost in the haze and in the darkness of addiction, and so self-consumed by my own little world and my own little problems that I could not adapt, evolve, and stay up to date. And it's just like an education thing, too. It's like, instead of, let's look for drugs and alcohol and then we'll just talk about our problems and we'll blame other people for where we are right now. It's like you could actually give a shit and make sure you're intaking valuable, positive information. It's just like a diet, like with your food. You have to make sure you're intaking valuable knowledge and positive information. And I remember it was just kind of before cell phones were really cranking out. I think it was like, I had this little shitty-ass black phone. It was just like a prepaid $20 a month phone. I couldn't do shit on it. I could only text, call, and that's it. I called it the little black box. So we're in Denver, we're hanging out, we're going to bars and drinking and having a blast, and things are okay at first, things are going good. For some fucking reason, like 3 weeks later, Levi calls me and he's in Fort Collins. He's in Fort Collins about an hour away, living with his girlfriend, and they're going through some weird stuff. I think some kind of domestic violence thing. Oh, it was so weird. It's so weird. I feel like they weren't supposed to be living together because of some kind of domestic violence thing, but they were so codependent. They were so reliant on one another that they were breaking the law, and they were sneaking around, still living together, like a couple of children hiding from their parents. So they just didn't want to be separate. They didn't want to separate. They didn't want to be alone. And wow, just the things people do to stay in relationships, just because they're so selfish and they're so weak that they don't know how to stand on their own. They don't know how to take the high ground and be like, dude, I deserve better. I need to be better as well. I need a better partner. People are not doing that. They're just kind of like, well, settle for what I got. People just settle for mediocrity, man. People settle for mediocrity all the time. And I do believe that you are what you settle for. So I'm in Denver. I find out Levi's up the road in Fort Collins. That's good to know. Cool things. Come down and party sometime in Denver. We'll link up. We'll visit. We'll talk about stuff. I didn't really use Craigslist that well back then. It was a weird time to go to live in Denver. It was a weird, bad time to move also. It was December. And it was freezing outside. I remember one night, Rob Halford from Judas Priest played a show at the Ogden Theater, and I was able to score a bunch of free tickets from a record store. So Dickie and I, a couple other people, we go to the Ogden and have a blast. We party. It's all metal. It's like a total metal night. And Dave Lombardo from Slayer, he was playing in Grip Inc. And their band opened up for Rob Halford's solo band, or solo project. So we got in there and we had a blast. It was so fun. And then we get outside and it's just snowing and it's freezing outside and we're just drunk running around Denver. And I remember going out back and meeting Dave Lombardo really quick. That was awesome. And we partied onward, and it was real weird. It was really hard to find a job in these conditions in Denver. I didn't have the experience. I didn't have the confidence or the know-how to go in and get a job and say the right things. I didn't know any of this, so I was struggling big time trying to find work. Now my resume is a tool. It's a very, very useful tool to help me get to places and get a foot in the door. Back then, my resume was pretty limited and pretty short. I didn't have too much confidence in my resume and my skill set. I didn't have it like I do now. I remember it was just getting colder and colder and colder. And I was out just in not safe clothes. I was outside in just regular clothes, and it was getting to be 0 degrees. The average for a week there was like 2 degrees. It's like getting to be -15 at night. It's like 7 degrees, maybe the high. Maybe one day the high is 2 degrees. It was so insane. And I was feeling the urge and the pressure. I was like, dude, I don't have any money. I'm in Denver. It's terrible outside. It's freezing. I need to get my shit together and figure this out. So I'm bundling up and putting on all these clothes that don't fit. I just look like a homeless person when I get to the restaurant I'm applying at. I have all these layers on and all these things that don't fit me, covered in dog hair, starving. for a little bit there, it was just hard to eat too. I mean, it was like eating once a day type of thing. And in January, my family all linked up in Denver. My birthday and my brother Tim, we have the same birthday, January 23rd, and my sister's is January 20th. I believe she was still out in Baltimore living at this point, but I'm in Denver. Boom, it's January. My family comes to visit everybody in Denver. My brother Tom, Tim, my mom, Jim is there. So we all link up and everything downtown Denver, and I'm pretty bitter. I remember being very bitter and resentful and just kind of becoming toxic. The poverty, the malnourishment and not eating, and all the stress and all the drinking, all those things were just killing me from the inside. Just completely turning me into this bitter, angry person that's just kind of complaining all the time and blaming others and talking about how I would have been able to do this and that if this wouldn't have happened. And, well, I was trying to do this and this happened. Coming up with excuses. I just had all the excuses to be resentful towards my family. You guys have everything. You guys don't know what it's like to be an addict. You don't know what it's like. All this poor me attitude and toxic behavior. Looking back at it now, yeah, it's like, damn it, I was a toxic person and I was just stuck in poverty and lost and freaking out, man. I didn't have any purpose or reason to be happy. I didn't have any reason to feel proud at all. In this weird fucked up way, I took it out on my family, and I was just subconsciously, I just knew that they had the power to change my life. They had the power to pull me out of this, but in a way, it was all up to me also. I was the only one that was going to pull myself out of this. They could have given me what I wanted, which is a handout. Oh, here's $1,000. Get on your feet. Maybe I would have done good things with that. I can't tell you, but I do know that it's dangerous to give an addict cash. And I didn't really respect or realize or notice this until I got older and realized, oh shit, yeah, that's dangerous to give an addict that's destructive and compulsive and suicidal money. They're going to spend it all that day. They're going to just blow it. And they have a lot of potential to overdose and die. They have a lot of potential to really mess things up and a lot of potential to really harm themselves. Especially if they don't give a shit and they don't have a plan or an idea or goals. So yeah, of course it was like this bitterness and I was angry towards them, and it was just this, well, you guys have everything and you guys are set and you guys have everything going for you, and I'm just this lost asshole and I'll never be good enough to be in the family, and I'm just really lost and confused right now and in a lot of pain. I don't know, we got in some argument or some weird thing about me not having money, and I was saying some kind of smart alecky remark and just being bitter and resentful and just talking crap because I felt terrible about myself and my life. I ended up just walking away from my family downtown Denver. I just walked back to the place I was staying at, Dickie's, and just kind of left them. I just got in an argument or something and just felt terrible. It felt like every time we got together, everybody had these awesome stories to tell, and everyone had these things to brag about and these awesome experiences to tell. And they always had stories of success and stories of joy and just adventure. And mine were always just like, I'm not eating. I'm very anxious. I kind of want to die. I don't know where to work. I don't know what to do. It's freezing out. My clothes have holes in them. I don't have any winter gear, and it's 0 degrees. I was just in a different world. My needs weren't being met. My immediate material needs weren't being met. My survival needs weren't really being met. Food, shelter, clean water, heat. A lot of these things weren't really being met. If they were just, I was barely getting by. And it was hard. I remember it being very tough because you're depressed, you have nothing, you can't even get yourself something to eat. So you're out there looking for a job in the freezing cold with nothing. You just get malnourished and you're not eating well. Then you're not sleeping well and you're just drinking. Then you're really not sleeping well. Then you have all these issues mentally, and you have low self-esteem, and you have low dopamine, low serotonin. You're not getting any oxytocin. You're not having positive, affectionate human interaction with anybody. And you're just constantly putting toxins into your body. You're just chain smoking cigarettes, grabbing cigarettes out of ashtrays, grabbing cigarettes off the ground, just drinking tons of coffee, and then boom, switch to alcohol at some point during the day. That was it. A lot of alcohol without food. yeah, I just remember it was nighttime. It was in Denver, and I walked away from the family, and we were all going to go to Casa Bonita there in Denver for our birthdays, and we were going to celebrate a little bit. And I was just so bitter and resentful and angry. I can't be around them right now. I cannot be around my family right now because they have a different idea of what a problem and an issue is. They have different challenges than me. They have a different life than me. I was just trying to stay dry and get some food. They were on a vacation in Denver, coming to visit us, and I was so bitter and resentful and angry. My life was shit. That was just such a huge thing on my ego, on my self-esteem. Going all the way out to Baltimore, having this girl say, no, we can't fix things. I'm over it. I'm done. And then just going and drinking, and then destroying things around me and offending things around me and people around me. I just didn't see the destruction that I was leaving and the chaos that I was causing. So I got angry and bitter, and I left, and they went out to dinner, and it was a hard weekend. It was a very hard weekend. It was my birthday, and I just remember not getting the help I needed or the help I wanted. The help I wanted probably would be, money, a nicer place to live, of course, a job. But these things were up to me, and I was so young and naive. I didn't realize that it was up to me, man. Nobody was going to get me out of this except me. I needed to figure out a plan somehow. I needed to snap out of this depression. Probably in January this started happening, but I was just not making progress. I wasn't even really looking for jobs. I wasn't out there much. Didn't have energy, I didn't feel good. I didn't have any ambition or motivation. I was just low on everything, low on food, everything, hope, all kinds of stuff. And I kind of thought too, like, what's the point? This city is so big, it's freezing outside. Everyone's applying for the same 5 jobs. I'm showing up looking like a homeless guy. I can't think, I can't hold a good conversation. For Christmas, my brother had gotten me an iPod Mini Touch. It was the coolest fucking thing ever. Coolest thing I ever owned. It was so badass. But I had it for like 3 months, maybe 2 months. And I go to Denver, and one night, Dickie's like, hey, can I borrow your iPod? Sure, man, here, yeah. I'm like, all right, it's pretty hard to break. I don't think he'll break it. Cool, man, yeah, just bring it back tonight. Cool, so the next day, my iPod is sitting on a table in the living room. The on button is broken and cracked and broken off. All right, I try to turn it on, and it goes to Blink 182. It's like stuck on Blink 182, and I'm like, dude, Dickie, what did you do to this? Did you drop it? Like, what happened? I don't know. It was fine last night, dude. It was fine when I had it. Right. It sure was. Looking back on it, this is why we can't have nice things. It's true. You get somebody that's in addiction, an addict, and they're just destructive. They don't appreciate the little things, and their life's so chaotic, and they're so self-absorbed with themselves that they don't respect things around them, and they don't have any desire to fix things. They're just out destroying and breaking things and causing chaos. They're not fixing things. And that's when I kind of realized that I was not worthy of expensive technology and fun toys, because I would get trashed and break them, much like my friend Dickie. We just broke things. We ruined things. We had cigarette burns in our sweaters. We had blood stains on our pants and on our sweaters, alcohol stains. Whatever the case, we just weren't taking care of ourselves. We were not taking care of ourselves, and we were not mindful, and we couldn't see, too. We were so blind to the fact that we had become pretty toxic people. It was just the same shit over and over again. Every day, the same stuff, just bumming and not having anything, no energy, no motivation. And there was this awesome night, New Year's Eve there in Denver. I linked up with my brother Tom, and we took acid, and we ran around Denver, and it was packed. There were so many people, and we were just having such a fucking amazing time. We were having a blast. I didn't want to take too much. I think I took like a half a hit, maybe 1 hit of acid, and it was my first time, and it was fucking amazing. It was great. The lights were just so vibrant, had an aura to them and a power to them, and everybody was just my friend. Everybody was my family. I just felt so warm and comfortable and just excited and felt the energy of the city and everything. It was awesome. It was such a great night. Of course, yeah, you wake up the next day and you're sick and hungover. You have no plans. You have no job. You have no money. Things just kind of started to get out of control there in January. It had been 2 months since I moved there. No job, not making any money. I remember my mom sent me a check for $15. I think it was Valentine's Day there in February. My mom sent me a check for $15 and I cried. I cried because I was so grateful for just that $15. It was such a relief, just $15, and it made me cry because I realized that you can't give addicts money, and she knew that, and it was just enough. I was like, this is just enough to get something to eat. And my phone bill at the time, I had that, like I said, that little prepaid black box phone that I could only text and call from, and it was only $20 to pay the phone bill. It was $20 to pay the phone bill. I couldn't even pay my phone bill with the money my mom sent me for Valentine's Day, but it was a nice little gesture, a very pleasant surprise, and I was able to eat that day, and that was cool by me. It started to become this thing where Dickie would get home at 1 or 2 a.m., and I would hear him slam the door closed, and he would just walk up the stairs, and he would just go right to my room and wake me up. Did you look for a job today? Were you looking for a job? Did you at least apply anywhere? You're fucking pissing me off, dude. Alright, next night, I hear the door slam. It wakes me up. 2 a.m. Comes right into my room, wakes me up. Did you find a fucking job yet? Dude, I'm getting fucking pissed off, man. You need to fucking get off your ass. Next night, same thing. And then the next night, my buddy Levi is up in Fort Collins, and he's like, hey, man, I'm going to come down to Denver and hang out. Do you want to hang out in Denver for a little bit? Is it cool if I come by? Sure, I don't care, man. Come on by. So we go walk around Denver, shoot the shit. He's still the same person. He doesn't have any good ideas, doesn't have any innovative thoughts or comedic anecdotes, anything too useful. He's just kind of a wanderer and needed something to do that day. So we're walking around Denver, hanging out. We get back to Dickie's house that night. We're having a few drinks, we're chilling. Dickie comes home like midnight or something, and he starts talking shit to me. And he's already trashed. He's off of work, he's drunk, comes home thinking about waking me up and talking shit. Gets inside the house. What's up? What are you guys doing? Did you look for a job today? Did this motherfucker go get a job today? You need to get this fucker to get a job, blah, blah, blah. And he starts pushing me and yelling, and Levi pushes Dickie onto the ground and starts beating his ass. Levi punches Dickie in the face. Boom, blood is going all over the fucking place. Dickie's wearing one of my fucking nice button-up shirts, and he gets blood all over the goddamn thing. There's blood all over the fucking carpet in the hallway. Levi stops. Dickie just is like, fuck you, runs outside covered in blood. I don't know where he's going. I don't know what he's doing. It's like midnight, and I'm like, I don't have anywhere to stay tonight if I get kicked out. The roommate, Matthew, is out of town at this time. We go to sleep, crash. The next morning, Matthew arrives, the roommate. He was out of town for a couple days. He notices the blood stain in the hallway. He's like, what's this stain from? I'm like, dude, well, I guess this happened. Dickie and Levi got in a fight. Who's Levi? He's my buddy. Well, he can't be here anymore. Cool, okay. So he's freaking out. How'd this happen? Why'd this happen? I'm freaked out that there's blood on my floor. I'm freaked out somebody got hurt here. This is not okay. He's tripping out. We haven't heard from Dickie all day. But it's so terrible and stupid and fucked up. Ugh. Later, I get a text from Matthew. Hey, I'm missing $20. And all your stuff's outside by the dumpster. I'm missing money. You guys beat up Dickie last night. There's just too much crap going on and I can't handle all this drama. So all your stuff's out by the dumpster. Crazy. So I call Levi. I'm like, dude, is there any fucking way you can come pick me up and I can move to Fort Collins and stay with you in Fort Collins? Yeah, I think that's cool. Let me talk to my girlfriend. Yeah, whatever. I have a friend in downtown Denver who is from Durango. It was really cool. I could look out her window and see Coors Field in downtown Denver. It was fucking awesome. But it was a very tiny apartment. Very tiny. And it was just this building with just 100 little-ass apartments, one-room apartments. And it was a shithole. It was old, decaying, and crumbling to the ground. Anyways, I stay with her for one night, and she's just drinking heavy alcohol all night. Drinking heavy booze all night, being loud and obnoxious, breaking glass and shit. smoking cigarettes out the window, almost falling out the window. I was just like, this is fucking chaos, man. This is crazy. It was too much. I needed somewhere to escape all of this confusion and madness. But everywhere I went, it was there. The next morning, I'm just like, dude, I cannot stay here with this girl. I cannot stay here with her. It's just too much. So Levi and his girlfriend picked me up in Denver, and I drive out of the city with them. I drive out of Denver. I'm leaving Denver behind, and I'm going to Fort Collins. And that was a whole nother adventure. Ended up getting kicked out of Levi's place. His girlfriend wanted me to leave, so I ended up having this huge adventure in Fort Collins of running into people and making friends with strangers and getting to know people in Fort Collins and making friends here and there, getting to know homeless people and travelers and young people on the road like myself, and just getting to know Fort Collins really as a traveling homeless type person. When I moved from Denver to Fort Collins is when I kind of took a step back and realized that I'm an explorer now. Things are uncertain and I'm on the road now. Now nothing is for sure. That was my first move to Denver. That was my first little adventure of living in Denver. My first time living in Denver, and it was just madness. So I'm in Fort Collins now. They're away from the city. They live by this awesome reservoir, Horsetooth Reservoir in Fort Collins. I'm always hiking it. I'm always walking around there, vibing and chilling and just thinking about things. And then all of a sudden, I started to kind of connect with nature. I kind of got out of the city and was able to connect with nature. All of a sudden, I had all this headspace. I could think, I could breathe. I could walk around and not run into anybody at all. Fort Collins was just super awesome, and it was a total change of pace from Denver. And I needed it. I needed to chill the fuck out. I needed to settle down. Baltimore and Denver just got me into this weird funk, and I was just kind of bitter and jaded on life. I was kind of thinking anything I work for is going to be taken from me, and everything I get will die and leave. Everything beautiful is going to die. Everything wonderful in my life is going to leave. So why try? Why not just disconnect and try to just have a pleasant journey on this life and on this earth, and just detach from that game of life and just wander and just be, just exist. This is a great stopping point here. I don't want to go too long. I hope this made you think. I hope this was interesting to you, and hope you had fun. Hope you smiled. Hope you laughed. Hope you thought a little bit. But yeah, I will pick up right where I left off in episode 9. I really appreciate you if you made it this far. If you're listening, I love you and I miss you. Hang in there. Let's take it one day at a time. Let's focus on what we do have the power to control. Let's focus on what we can change. Focus on your environment and your surroundings. I love you. I hope you have a wonderful day. Join us next time for episode 9. This is your host, John Schaefer, signing off. The Homesick Lonewolf Podcast, episode number 8. Have an awesome day. Be kind to each other.